Okay, go. If you have any questions as well, you could unmute yourself or put it in the chat, and then I'll go in on do it. Since it's both of us, then you could go ahead and interrupt me. So the overview, MoxiEngage. So that's the whole new CRM. How long have you been with us?
I've been with CB since January.
January. So you came in right as the Moxi migration came in to play. So I know you heard a lot about it, and there was a lot of like pauses in between, but now it's up and running and ready to go. So let's go and see what exactly how we're going to be able to use it for us. So CRM is our contact records management. So this is where Engage will be at, where you'll be able to update all your contacts, email marketing, MLS. So it is connected to your MLS. So it'll be able to access all of your current listings, past sales. If you have an open house, you'll be able to create stuff on that as well. So it's already integrated with your MLS. One of the cool things about it is you'll be able to do your goal selection. Right now, you've been hearing a lot of the mid-year reviews with Jennifer Lynn or within your own office. This helps you keep track of your goal from like the beginning of the year or mid-year, and it connects with your actual transaction manager. So if you have an active listing or sale in there, it'll also keep track of it in a percentage wise or your GCI goal wise. And one of the good features about it is that it's connected to your office manager. So they'll be able to keep track of help you keep in track with your goals, or if there's a fault in there, you've been quiet for a little while, they'll be able to go in and say, hey, you haven't checked in on a couple of leads, go ahead, I recommend to do that. So that's going to be able to be one of the options, and task manage recommendations. So and task recommendations are per client. You could have them either be a seller, buyer, or a potential prospect, and it'll give you different tasks on different time periods. So you could do a welcoming email 1 week, and then in 2 weeks, they'll remind you, hey, check in with that client. So it'll keep that in track on a calendar base. So it'll be your virtual assistant without getting the nagging phone calls all the time. You'll just go in there virtually. So a couple of the features onto there. A lot of the settings are going to be that gear section on the top right. So always you'll be seeing gears, and that's where you're going to be able to edit the settings, any of the features. So you'll be able to see the different dashboard. So it's people, calendar, notification, subscriptions. Your calendar is connected to your Outlook. So if you connected it to your CB Realty email, it will sync up. So anything that you have on your Outlook email will populate on Engage. So this SalesPro class would have already populated on your Engage calendar as well. So that way you know not to double book yourself, or know exactly how you're going to be scheduling yourself to reach out to your clients. And then you'll be able to have those notifications. So how often you want those reminders for yourself. Another option that they do have is your leads. You'll be able to get either a text message or a phone call letting you know that a lead has reached out to you, or that they've reached out onto your website. So that's one of the good features about here. So we want to make sure it has your updated phone number onto there, and that's all within that gear on the top right corner. So along that top line, that's what we call your agent dashboard. So that's how you're going to be able to navigate through the different sections. The main sections are dashboard, people. So people is going to be your new verbiage for your contacts. Your calendar is where everything is synced up with your Outlook email, and your GCI goal and campaigns are all found on the top section. Once you click on Engage, this is what you're going to be able to see is your dashboard. Everything is going to be on the top right. And these sections on the right-hand side are how it'll organize your dashboard. So let's say you really want to stay in the flow. You want to make sure that one's up top, and your calendar, you don't really pay attention to your calendar. You'll be able to drag and drop, just kind of like your tiles on desk. And that's just how you'll navigate through there. They also have little gears on each of those sections where you'll be able to edit those features as well. So let's go into depth of what all of these sections means, because I mean, it's stay in the flow sounds the same as sales flow. So we'll be able to kind of differentiate themselves. So that stay in the flow is one of my new favorite sections. It will automatically display 5 contacts a day to kind of give you that jump on being able to reach out 5 contacts a day. You know, that's one of the mastermind goals, some of the closing clubs. That's one of the recommendations is having at least 5 touch points a day. But the hard part is, how do I figure out who my 5 points are? Well, the stay in the flow will automatically do that for you based on how often you want to reach out. So it could be a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day, and it does it for you. So I recommend going into Moxi once a week, because I know it's a lot asking you every day. So you could start off going in once a week, reaching out to those 5 people. You'll feel like you've achieved a lot because you already have 5 people you've contacted either by phone call, email, text, or social media DM, or say, hey, I liked your post. And that way you'll feel a little bit more driven to do it. Why not 10 people a week? And then you start building up on that setting. Your activity feed will help you organize and see exactly all of your hard work. If you send out a newsletter, you'll be able to see the exact date that the newsletter went out and when your client opened it, click through it, or if they favorited a property. That's all going to be under the activity section. Your to-do list, you'll be able to keep yourself on track, your clients on track, all through one little window. Your calendar, we make it nice and simple that you don't have to click through different windows. It's all on the same page. Your sales flow, that is one of the sections where you'll be able to see how many clients you have in a marketing transaction or an active listing or a pending transaction. So this will make it visually easier for you to know how many people you actually have out there. Your goals as well, and then your active listings, like I mentioned, is connected to your MLS. So everything's going to be auto-populating. You won't have to go in and update everything yourself. So how are we going to use stay in the flow? Stay in the flow is that window where it's going to tell you how many people you have in your sphere that are under your marketing. But it also will tell you how many people you have in a prospecting transaction. That way, you know, okay, I need to reach out at least to these 6 people on a regular basis. That way, I know they're either in the pre-approval section and now they're actively looking for a property on the market, or they already have their listing. They're about to sign the listing agreement with you. And once they're already in that transaction, you'll be able to just click on it, automatically access those people without having to go to your transaction manager and seeing where they're at. And this way, you'll be able to see it right on your dashboard without having to click anywhere else. So why is it that we want to make sure we're using these prospecting zones? It will by us communicating with the program, letting them know that Susan Smith is a prospect, and I want to make sure that I'm always touching base on Susan Smith because she might be reached out by another agent. Their family member might be an agent. So the fact that you're always on top of those zones will make sure that you're going to be always top of mind, their primary agent, and they're going to see that you are their community expert. But those zones won't help us out if we don't communicate with the program. So that's why you could just go in once a week and start getting used to that and starting to organize your contacts that way. And that way, that sales flow or that stay in contact will be a lot more beneficial for you. So the more you use it, the easier it is for you to stay in top of mind, because that's one of the hardest things with a CRM is staying in contact with our sphere. And our sphere are our leads. So the way that they make it a lot easier is that Stay in the Flow section on the top. It has your actual contact cards auto-populated, and it'll let you know the last time you touched base with them. But let's say Carolyn is your mom, your aunt, and you don't really want to take space with them. You could organize them and hit skip, mark, done. And it seems like a lot, but the first month, I feel like the first month that you actually use the product and start kind of organizing your contacts, by next month, all you're going to be doing is picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, Carolyn, how are you doing? Have you looked at the neighborhood newsletter? Have your listing changes and listing requirements changes?" And this way, it makes it a lot easier to do all of that heavy lifting for you without having to hire an assistant to tell you, "Hey, have you reached out to someone this week?" And those are just the different sections on there that you'll be able to organize and siphon through your contacts. And there's always that gear on the top right where you're going to be able to organize exactly who pops up on your top 5. Obviously, you're not going to really want to do your personal or your collaborators on there. So you'll be able to really narrow down to your prospects, your leads, your active buyers. And like I was mentioning, you'll be able to organize them by 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. Give yourself a nice window and give them breathing room, and then you'll be able to reach out to them again. So this is going to be able to help you stay in the flow. Staying in the flow is really important to be able to stay in contact with our sphere. And this is how we're going to be able to influence them, by actually knowing a little bit of information of our sphere. They are our people, there are our potential leads. So we want to make sure we have as much information as possible or have it organized. So people is going to be your new verbiage as opposed to contacts. We were really used to the contacts word. So now you're going to be adding your people to your sphere. And they're going to have a nice, easy button to add one contact at a time. If you did the migration, it pulled everything from your market leader or from your CRM into Moxi as well. But let's say you have your own personal list that hasn't been uploaded. That magical gear on the top right, you'll be able to upload your CSV file as well. And you'll be able to right away see how many contacts you have off the top. 35 people, and you'll be able to organize it. InTouch didn't have it that easy, so this one tells you right away. You'll be able to organize your groups and your contacts in groups. And this is another reason why it's important to know exactly where a contact belongs. If they're a potential buyer or they're a potential seller, you'll have your different marketing points for each of them. So if you have them in already a pre-existing group, it'll make it a lot easier for you to do a group contact, as opposed to trying to say, "Hey, I forgot where Shelly belongs to. I'm going to have to go through all of my contacts to see where she is," as opposed to popping her in a group and you already know what type of marketing she will receive. But let's say you have all your contacts in there and nothing got categorized. We do have a categorized wizard that'll help you out on organizing that, because it is a lot. Depending on how long you've been in the industry, you haven't probably checked your contacts in a couple of years from now, and you probably have over 1,200 contacts. So this is a good time to kind of go in and use that category to see really where they belong on your sphere, on your leads. So once you do enter a contact, how are we going to make sure that we're putting them in the proper path? In your contact lead, you'll automatically be able to change their sales flow. So you'll be able to go ahead, click nice tiles, nice visual tiles, if they're a client or non-client. You'll also be able to see their notes and activities. So if you did process the migration from InTouch over to Moxi and you had any notes, any activity form, all of that information did transfer over, and that will be found under the activity tab. So if you had any property searches, that type of information might will be on to that section. So your notes didn't miss out if you did the InTouch migration period. But if you did import your notes and import your contacts, that section might be missing. But this is where you're going to be able to create all of your campaigns, newsletters, your neighborhood news, and listing alerts. So in order to organize your contacts, you'll be able to hit, if you want to organize your contacts in a mass group, you'll be able to hit the edit group section, and it'll pull up all of your contacts. It'll pull up your contacts in this section and the uncategorized, and create all your contacts in tiles as opposed to having your contacts in a straight line. And you'll automatically be able to start organizing your contacts one by one through a one tile section. So it'll look like this. The moment you click on a tile, on a contact, let's say Brianna is a client, you'll go ahead and hit client on there. And these are the little windows that will actually populate. You'll automatically be able to create a marketing plan from that one tile, or mark her as a seller prospect, and it automatically will start creating a prospecting zone for sellers. So start giving you a task list. Reach out to your seller in 2 weeks. Reach out to your seller in 3 weeks. Send them this property newsletter. And so it'll just keep track of for you. It'll send it out for it as well, and it'll pop up under your activity section. But let's say they're not an active client, they're a potential client, but you still want them in a lead. You'll be able to put them under personal collaborator. So this would be any of your agents, any of your team members, any contractors that you have on there, anyone that you work on a regular basis, but don't want to put them under your sales flow or your marketing plan section. So the more information we give Moxi, or we give our CRM, the easier it is going to be able for you to maintain a flow with your contacts. So like that calendar is connected to your Outlook, you'll be able to update your birthday, anniversary, house anniversaries, and add those custom details. That way, when you reach out to your seller and they sold their house and they bought a new house, you'll be able to reach out to them next year and say, hey, congratulations, it's been a year in your new property. How exciting, how do you feel? And that way you will always be that point of contact for them. Because usually a seller or a buyer stays at their property for almost, let's say, minimum 3 to 5 years. If we don't reach out to them in that window, they might start reaching out to another agent might reach out. But if you're always staying that point of contact, if you have their social media, if you follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and just like a post once in a while, it would always make sure that you're going to be that community expert and that personal connection that they will recommend and refer you to their friends and family members. So by making sure we have those notes on there, it'll make you that professional and that expert in that community. But obviously, we want to make sure we're giving them stuff for their neighborhood, their marketing stats, and that information will be able to create individual neighborhood news. So that is similar to a market report. Market report that is found in Prospect Square. But this neighborhood news is connected straight to your Moxi website. So it will be able to pull stuff from your Moxi website, direct them to that website, and it'll start building that search engine optimization. So we want to build that traffic over to your website and have that be your point of contact with your leads. So with the neighborhood news, you'll be able to select it either by a zip code or by a quick draw. So right now you could either do one zip code at a time or draw multiple locations on that neighborhood news and cater it specifically to that one client. But let's say you have your contacts in one organized in all of your city. So if I'm in Monterey, so if I had a group of Monterey contacts, I don't want to go through one by one and set up the same report. I could do a group setup where I would just go under my group section and do a neighborhood news for everyone. So I'll go ahead and do a live sample right now. But that way you have the option to either do it by one person or a group, and cut corners, do it a lot faster, and it will be set it and forget it. So once you set it and have it be sent, it'll be sent every single month. You'll get the notice, your client will get the notice. If they start clicking through it, you'll be able to get that notification as well. So in order to do that, you could do one zip code, and it's just like the same search capability as Moxi Present. So if you're familiar with the Moxi Present, your CMAs, and doing the listing comparison, those same search capabilities will be able to do on neighborhood news. Just like InTouch, it will also give you an option to do your custom memo on there. Let them know that it's coming directly from you and it's not a scam or it's not just a spam email. And this is another recommendation that I do have is reaching out to your contact before you set them up to a newsletter, or you could reach out to them after you set them a newsletter and say, hey, just want to give you a heads up. I did update my database. I want to make sure you're receiving my new email and that it's not going to bulk or junk mail. And that's another opportunity where you're doing a warm contact without saying, hey, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to sell? No, just hey, I just want to give you a little bit more information on how the market is, but make sure you're not missing out. So with that section, you'll be able to just enter that one zip code, or like I mentioned, the custom section, and be as specific, as narrowed to what that client wants. And you could draw the section. But let's say they want 2 different cities, 2 different zip codes, and different locations, you'll be able to also draw those multiple circles. Also, listing requirements, so like price range, bed and baths, you'll also be able to enter those out just on the top section and be very specific. So the neighborhood news will include just listed and just sold properties. So it's more of a market report as opposed to a listing alert. This is how the neighborhood news will show up. This is the email that your client will receive, and they'll be able to open the full report. You'll be able to get that notification letting you know that your client has opened the report, so you are getting those analytics as well. And you'll be able to see exactly what those properties are that they're receiving. If they click through the email presentation, they will also be directed back to your website and create that SEO, search engine optimization, and creating that traffic back to your website. Also, it includes your personal contact as the only person to reach out. So that's going to be the main point of contact with Moxi. We always want to make sure that we're directing that contact, that client back to you. And that's going to be our goal with everything as well. Those listing announcements, you could automatically set it up. The moment you have a listing or a sale, it will create a newsletter and send it out. So if you have your local real estate association, your realtor association email list, and you have your SSA send out an email every time you have a listing, an open house, or a sale, this will actually generate it for you. So that's something that you could do. Set up the whole group newsletter and have that set and forget, and you don't have to remember, oh, have I set that new listing alert out there for you? And the same setup is as the newsletter. You'll be able to come in here under your people, add to listing announcements, and it'll give you that section just like the newsletter on how to create that listing announcement, and it's just going to be your properties, your listing, your sales, and your celebrations of success. um, just like in market leader, we have campaigns, and these are going to be any supplemental marketing. So if you want any of the seasonal holidays, we have that as an option as a seasonal holiday. um, any seller flyer. So if you want to do the spring cleanup, they have spring cleanup emails that you can send out on a quarterly basis. Or any suggestion like seasonal home maintenance, you'll be able to go into the campaign, find all of the broker templates, or you could create your own campaign and have that set out to all of your leads. And as well, you could either set one client up or multiple groups at the same time. So the more we use those different functionalities, the easier and faster it is to send stuff out and have stuff be auto-populated, auto-set, and you could set it and forget it and just reach out to engage and just reach out to those 5 contacts at the beginning of your list. So I know it's a lot of information. I want to check the chat to see if there's any questions. No, this is a moment where you could unmute yourself if you have any questions. Thank you, Casey. If not, I will make sure to send out the presentation. I also have attachments that I will have on how to do each step. So how to set up a newsletter, how to set up any neighborhood news. I'll include that into my email recap, along with the recording of this session. I love to put all my videos on YouTube, so all of my SalesPro classes will also be attached on that YouTube link. But as always, all of your local FMSs, SSAs are ready to help you out with any of your marketing options and questions. So I will stop recording.